Diet and exercise are no-brainers in a healthy retirement, right? But there's a major mismatch in retirement. According to research, 48% of older workers say that they'll exercise more in retirement than they do while working, but 34% exercise less than they did while employed, and 41% get about the same. 12% of retirees eat less healthfully than while working, and a staggering 52% of eating habits stayed the same in retirement. So if diet and exercise are such a no-brainer to avoid a healthy retirement, then why the major challenge? As a life coach for older adults who's dedicated over 8 years to helping people turn their retirement years into their best years full of purpose and passion, I have found that successful retirees go deeper to avoid an unhealthy retirement. You are not a stereotype, and the typical retirement ho-hum leisure-only life is not going to cut it. In this video, you will learn 5 very key steps that go beyond what society and stereotypes tell you so that you can not only avoid an unhealthy retirement, but also dig into a fulfilling, meaningful life that's healthy in all the ways, physical, mentally, emotionally, because it all works cohesively together. Starting with the biggest missing link out there. Step number 1, plan beyond finances. This one is foundational and unfortunately not what society focuses on. When you look up for retirement planning, 98% of the results show financial planning tips. So here's my PSA. Retirement planning does not equal financial planning. There's so much more to retirement and life than just money and how to manage it. And if you're familiar with my content, you know about my 5 rings of retirement framework. In our main signature program, Rewire My Retirement, we go through a very thorough gaining clarity process and do a deep dive into each of the 5 rings of retirement and advocate for the finance ring to have the sole purpose of fueling your life in the other 4 more meaningful, fulfilling, colorful rings of retirement. While yes, it is very awkward to transition from a conditioned habit of socking away money and building wealth for decades to spending it down, there are so many other often invisible shifts happening as well in parallel at once during the transition into retirement, including your identity and role shift. You have a new purpose in retirement, new cadences and rhythms to not just your daily structure, but also your social engagements and your relationships, marriage included and coworkers included. So all this to say, planning beyond finances is a foundational first step that most people skip over. Yes, you can plan for healthcare costs and do all the things to address your medical needs, but if you don't plan beyond that, beyond finances, the invisible factors like your mental health and your emotional health will take a toll, and that all ties into your physical health, of course. Unfortunately, too many people miss out on the comprehensive health aspects, and then they freeze or they enter into what I call a retirement rut, because going from a bustling career and family life identity to something completely open and unknown can be a shock to the system, especially for high achievers who are used to go, go, go. That could be like going from 60 to 0. So if you or someone you know are in that vulnerable state, here's where step number 2 comes in. Don't compare. It is so tempting when you're seeking answers and directions, but if you can, remember to not play the comparison game. The answers will never come from out here. They will always come from within. Basically, it's not about asking what other retirees are doing. A lot of them may be cutting their growth short because of stereotypes or ageism anyway. And it's not about what your relative or your neighbor or your spouse suggests that you should be doing. It's certainly not trying to fit into a stereotype and thinking that you should do something even if you don't want to. For example, traditional forms of volunteering or activities at a senior center or any other typical retirement activity that's popular is not for most people. What I have found is gaining clarity is part of revealing your authenticity and your intrinsic motivations, which is why I created the Rewire My Retirement program that helps you literally rewire a new way and then detangle the old way. You first gain this clarity by doing what I call inward action before any outward action. Again, most people just skip over this because it's invisible, But the gist is to uncoil the old way and the old conditioning of doing things only for extrinsic motivators like money or career goals, etc. And instead gain that clarity so that you can go for the intrinsic motivators, which are more energizing and purposeful and fulfilling. By the way, this is my exact wheelhouse. So if you're intrigued, check out Rewire My Retirement. I will leave a link in the description below this video in case you're interested. Either way, the next step will help you navigate this transition probably the most. Step number 3 is to focus on your growth. The fact that your brain is plastic and that neuroplasticity exists is proof that you are designed for growth. It's not just for the young. You can create new neural pathways in your brain for the rest of your life. You're meant to grow, evolve, change, develop at every life stage, and retirement is no different. In fact, in my book, literally, where I share the Rewire Retirement Method, I share how retirement is the beginning of a big growth journey. You just need to gain the clarity first and then have the right structure behind it. Plus, big growth equals big cognitive health. When you challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zone, do new things, better yourself, learn more, you're literally taking care of your brain health while boosting your emotional, mental, and physical health. It all ties together. It's all beneficial. Beginning a big growth journey in retirement is one of the healthiest things you could do for yourself. In a society that teaches us that it's time to wind down, slow down, not be creative, reduce your risk, and so on, a client recently recommended the show A Man on the Inside. And in an interview, Ted Danson, who's the main character, says, "One of the messages I feel in life and in this story is we always tell our children, you can do anything, you can be anything. And then there's a period in life when we stop telling that to ourselves. In the same way that my passion is to flip retirement stereotypes on their head and to uproot ageism, may you focus on big growth in this new and important life phase. Your brain is literally built for it. Your own growth helps your health, it inspires others around you as a ripple effect. It improves your excitement, your energy, stamina, relationships, so many things. So it is worth it." By the way, relationships come up a lot in private coaching sessions, so it's worth mentioning here. To help you navigate the many shifts in your relationship dynamics, especially the deeper ones like with your family members and your spouse, dynamic shifts throughout a relationship lifetime, when you work on yourself and your own growth, 100% of the time, your relationship dynamics improve. They have to. When you do this inner work and personally develop, you show up as a better version of yourself and your authenticity shines through, and that can only shift the dynamic of your relationships in a more positive direction. And you attract the right aligned people to that version of you. Relationships are such a big deal that our next step for avoiding an unhealthy retirement is to, number 4, understand your relational part. In a relationship, more commonly the one with your spouse or someone you literally share your life with, this is such a game changer. And if you're single or living alone, the literal relationship you have with yourself is going to dictate your satisfaction level and inform how you show up and attract the right social engagements. So I always coach, you have your own growth path and purpose and activities. Your spouse or partner has their own growth path and purpose and activities and pace. And then you have your couple's activities and path together. Understanding this one distinction between all three can help you better understand where to put your expectations, where to take control, and where to let go of control. There's a great quote from Neil Strauss's book, An Uncomfortable Book About Relationships, which is, "Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments," which of course is not good for anyone's health. Knowing more about how to manage your own expectations and then seeing clearly what's in your control versus out of your control can help you focus on investing your energy in the right places. I'm going to repeat it here. When you focus on your own growth, your relationship dynamics have to shift and improve, especially as you show up as a better and better version of yourself. Part of avoiding an unhealthy retirement is avoiding the typical relational traps where you wait around for someone else to make shifts. That's too much weight and power given to someone else. You make the right shifts for your authenticity, your passions, your intrinsic motivators to grow, and the rest follows. It's also healthy to have some time apart. According to Travelodge's poll of more than 2,000 people, 80% credit their happy marriages to having a break from each other every now and then. Having time apart not only builds anticipation and helps you appreciate more your time together, but it also gives each of you that wonderful chance to focus on your individual health. You can take time to self-regulate, get grounded, restored, relax, and pursue your own growth and interests and friendships, which are also massively healthy in balancing out your multifaceted, robust retirement life. And finally, relationships aside, a lot of people get stopped straight in their tracks when it comes to making these deeper positive changes. Sounds great on paper, but sometimes they freeze. The fear of the unknown gets in the way, or sometimes it's a literal physical stuckness, like in your brain, which informs your behavior. So here's the hack. Step number 5 is to start in your current state. Meet yourself exactly where you are in your exact current state, in your exact current situation. Sometimes I talk to people who are interested in growth and change and a better life and all these good things that they deserve, but there's this sticky conditioning that says, oh, I'll do that when X. I'll do that when I retire, finish my move, get back from this vacation, have enough money, heal from surgery. Whatever X is, the waiting will only prolong your dissatisfaction or your rut, and the time will pass anyway. So this is my PSA, to embrace healthy, deeply meaningful changes exactly as you are. Old parts of your brain are designed to keep you safe and reserved, which is a bit out of context in today's modern society. And a more modern part of your brain is designed for change, quite literally. According to the research from the University of Alabama at Birmingham Department of Neurobiology, there are 2 major brain regions that have the ability to continually give birth to new neurons in adults. Hippocampus, your hub for long-term and spatial memory, and cerebellum, your hub for coordination and muscle memory. These 4 parts of your brain are responsible for most of your memory, the hippocampus and the cerebellum being the 2 regions with the highest rate of neurogenesis. These 2 regions of your brain specifically are important for neuroplasticity because they're full of granule cell neurons, which have the highest rate of neurogenesis. But neuroplasticity aside, I also want to share that procrastination is a side effect, not a personality trait, of not having clarity. So imagine being unclear on what you really want, or being scared of the unknown, or not knowing your next steps. That lack of clarity will of course lead to behaviors of procrastination, lacking motivation, and then the inactive inertia that holds you. And that's the perfect storm for what I call retirement rut. All this to say, there is no perfect time. The stars do not need to be aligned for you to start gaining clarity and shed procrastination. For any real deeper positive change to take place, especially when you're uprooting that high achiever, go, go, go hamster-like conditioning that can be really sticky, you gotta get in there in the messiest or dullest of situations to detangle all of the old ways and gain that clarity. Clarity will evaporate procrastination and lack of motivation and lack of energy. The clarity will build momentum and move the inertia in the right direction. And that will eventually take over the old way. Either way, your brain is plastic, so it's time to leverage it for your retirement success and your growth and fulfillment. By the way, if you want help gaining clarity, this is my exact wheelhouse. So I will leave a link to my free workshop in the description below this video in case you want to check that out. It's called How to Turn Your Successful Career into a Successful Retirement. So thank you so much for watching. I am Cyn Meyer, your passionate retirement life coach, and I will see you in the next video.